Okay, while we were off the air, I wish that was on the air also because we discussed so much during off the air period. So, Hero, balik tayo. Before you wrap up the point, and then I'll bring up the question that is prevalent now on the financial currency situation. Is the renminbi really challenging the US dollar as the international currency? Hero.
Again, the word challenging gives the wrong connotation. Because reserve currency status, that meaning, very few people actually understand that concept. It is more historical. It is like gold. And by the way, India celebrating Diwali.
Diwali, yeah.
Okay, and happy Diwali to all friends and relatives. But just to give you an idea,
does Diwali have anything to do with the
gold.
financial? Gold, yeah, okay. Okay.
That's not the real intent of Diwali, but the goddess Lakshmi.
Okay.
It's a time when gold purchasing in India is at its highest, because giving gold coins is a measure of, like it's Christmas, but they give gold coins to the goddess Lakshmi, which is the goddess of wealth and prosperity. This is even before Adam Smith, okay?
Yeah, before a lot of things.
So, we don't use gold standard for currencies anymore because it is obsolete. However, this concept of reserve currency, the connotation equates to the term industrial currency, the productive nature of that currency. That means that, because there are three applications for the technology of money: a store of value, a medium of exchange, as a unit of account. So currency as a store of value is critical. Where are you going to keep your savings? Okay, I'll keep it some in gold, real estate. But then that's not enough in modern industrial societies. You want to own industrial assets. You know?
Yeah.
Like here, the stock market, but there are no industrial companies here. It's mostly...
Before we go into a semester of financial fundamentals, let's go back to the crisis, the financial crisis, the dollar crisis.
This financial crisis basically, for the industrialized economies of the world, Japan, the EU economy, and the USA, they are in the midst of managing a depression. And what does that mean?
So there is a depression already.
There is, because you have basically the states and their central banks are fighting deflationary pressures.
Because as we were...
overproduction, financial crisis. So, to save the financial...
Overproduction is, one can also say, a lack of imagination in re-channeling the global economic effort.
Again, countries have excess surplus finance.
For example,
sobrang pera.
In response to that, too many economies are producing the same things: cars, cell phones, and so on. Instead of more medicines for people, more food.
That is a different issue. The thing is,
but that's a physical economy.
Their industrial economies, let's say in the U.S., they have enough production for more than the U.S.
That's right.
Cars. However, they have difficulty exporting it because the emerging markets, most of their people don't have the income to buy those cars.
And the Chinese are coming in with lower price goods. No?
Exactly. But the Chinese also will have that problem because they hit that stage, middle income level, overproduction. Their state-run industries, oversupply of steel, etc., etc., etc.
Well,
so they hit the wall.
We can say that that is one of the defining characteristics of the crisis today. No?
Correct.
How is that going to be resolved? You were raising a finger. You might have a point to add to this or to bring up.
But more on the Yuan, on the financial.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Yuan, yeah.
The Yuan is starting to challenge, but it's in the initial stage. And the Yuan cannot yet directly challenge the dollar or the euro kasi walang direct convertibility.
But there was a...
what they do is they have direct trading. You can use the Yuan directly to trade with another
bilateral
country.
agreements.
Bilateral agreements. So yun ang unang
doesn't that
approach
put pressure
nila.
on the US dollar too? No, it doesn't.
Well, as it occupies a bigger proportion of trade, kasi they're starting now with Britain also. No? So inuumpisa nila with the developing countries and then with some developed countries. Second, they're trying to get the Yuan to have a greater proportion dun sa tinatawag na special drawing rights ng IMF, no? Because now they're not included or very little proportion. Pero unless they loosen up yung capital controls and they open up their capital accounts,
which they will
there's no
not.
way. They won't do it right now.
They won't, because you cannot
Eventually,
plan, you cannot plan your economy if you open up.
However, there is one development that the Chinese are looking at. They want to liberalize domestically the setting of interest rates, which is basically the strong arm of the state still controls. And that is the start of developing
Yes.
a domestic financial market system, which is critical for the state to release control over monetary policy.
Yeah, now, the point from Chito and the rest of the points you have made brings me to this question of how long this process of shifting, whether from a dominant dollar to a mixed currency, or you said multi-generational.
The reason for that is this. The Chinese cannot rely on the export-led development model any longer. They have to increase personal household consumption within their domestic economy. That would mean raising wages, salaries, and developing a healthy domestic market. And that would mean putting more money, and the balance of state expenditures versus your personal state will start to come down, and the personal consumption will start to rise, meaning you will have a market system controlled by their vast population.
Okay. Given these factors, of course, we're compressing so much.
We have to
the question for this second part is, Quo Vadis, where does the Philippines go from here? Where do we go from here? We're still allied geopolitically and tied to, or even enslaved economically and financially to the Western powers, if not just the U.S., no? Because I use Western powers para mas flexible ang discussion. May influence ng Europe dito. No? But, so where should we go? Obviously, we're not going anywhere today. We're going on. Chito, go ahead.
Short term to possibly medium term, we stay the course, I think. I don't see...
Is that a prescription? Or
No. That's
description?
an analysis
That's a
of the
description.
current situation.
Okay.
I don't see anyone in the political scene that would go. I mean, by that I mean, let's start with public opinion. No? The survey that showed, the international survey that showed that Filipinos are more pro-Americans than the Americans.
80% of Filipinos.
so that's one solid factor. The second one is we have already, in the rivalry between the U.S. and China, the Philippine leadership has already, we don't have to choose at this early stage, but we've already made the choice. We're with the U.S., Japan, Australia bloc.
Do we have to use the term we? Because I am not in that. I'm not included in that.
By that I think the country where we're in.
As a whole.
The country where we're in. We may not agree with it.
It's not just the leadership. You think it's a popular sentiment?
It's supported, I think, right now by public opinion. It will take a shift, no? And this is where I foresee a possibility. Kasi in the short to medium term, American power is still strong.
Okay.
What if American power declines? It may take intergenerational shift, 10, 20 years. What if Chinese power continue to rise? Because the Chinese want to match the Americans, not only economically, but also militarily. Is it to our long-term strategic interest to keep this one-sided? What I'm saying is that there is an imbalance in our foreign policy.
But I'm not just looking at the future. I'm saying we're losing out already today.
Oh, there's an opportunity cost.
While Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, even Malaysia has bigger investment in China than the Chinese have in Malaysia and so on. They're all benefiting from China. The Philippines is really losing out. And we're still being exploited by the U.S. in the military aspect lang. But go ahead. Then we'll go to Hero to wrap it up.
What complicates it is I think we have to see through itong arbitration. After we filed our arbitration and after the territorial dispute took center stage, the Chinese virtually cut off all aid
Yeah.
and loans. So there's definitely an opportunity cost. But that's what I say. The political leadership, I think, if they haven't realized it, they realize it now. They basically are relying on US, Japan, Australia, and the Western world to make up for the loss from the Chinese. That's only good for a short term.
Yeah.
Because in the long term, can it be sustained? No. So the point I'm making is that we may have to rethink the basic direction of our foreign policy in the long term.
Yeah, but my point is we are losing and not gaining, or it's not even an even slate. Lugi tayo so far. I'll go to Hero. Hero,
Taking up
where do we go?
from-
Financially,
from
economically?
Financially, economically.
And that also means political
Essentially,
alliance, no?
We are fortunate that while all of this is happening, we have very good, benign financial conditions in the country at the present time because of the massive printing of hard currency in the US, Europe, and Japan. We are abundant in dollars, and that's what makes this country tick.
Yeah.
Kulang ang dollar, bagsak ang ekonomiya. Sobra ang dollar, our business conglomerates basically have it good.
Yeah, but our people
Well,
do not
again,
benefit from it. Yeah.
remember, this country is surviving on exporting labor, bananas, and your
Call centers.
contact centers. Okay? So we have a healthy dollar position, a position for the last 10 years this country never had. So while the world is kind of swirling around us, this happened.
Okay, 1 minute. But why is the people feeling worse and worse?
I did say that healthy financial conditions
Amounts to-
is good for the domestic economy.
It's good for the banking magnates,
The conglomerates.
NDC, Ayala,
They have
etc.
very, very competitive borrowing rates. That's why they're expanding left, right, down and out, going into areas and taking over businesses normally controlled by the state. Why? Because the state, because of our debt problem in the past, was forced to become a very minimalist state.
Okay. Last 30 seconds. So, where do we go? 10 seconds na lang. We need change. That's what you're saying.
We basically have to diversify.
We have to rethink, you said.
Rethink, diversify, not to rely too much on the US-Japan alliance. We should open lines of communication with China and broaden our...
Okay, we'll ask
Foreign option.
Hero in the third part. Okay.
I agree.
We keep spilling over.
But unfortunately, the institutions